I'm the tax man.
You do not sound like Paul McCartney.
I know. I didn't want it to sound like Paul. I want it to sound more like John. But
And now, here's that man with a head just crammed full of knowledge, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Know-It-All, the segment where attorney Stephen Leahy gives us his infinite wisdom on all things taxes, such as Sergeant Pepper's gives us all things music.
Okay, so I've been, like I said, I always get these same questions seem to come up a lot. Okay, so this week
Isn't it
actually
funny
it's been
how
coming
it all
up.
kind of works in circles?
Actually, it's been coming up over the last couple of months, and I never had a really good answer for it. And this is the question. I started a corporation some years ago for a company that I never really did anything with. And I got the S designation, and we never really filed any tax returns because we never really made any money. And now it's been some years. What should I do?
Yeah, what do I do? What do you do?
And, it gets kind of scary because people don't realize that there's penalties for not filing corporate tax returns. Now, if it's a personal tax return and I didn't make any money and I don't owe the IRS any money, I'm not going to get a penalty because the penalties are based on how much I owe. And if I don't owe anything, well, I won't have a penalty because it's based on that.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And so, but with corporate tax returns, S corporation tax returns, there is a penalty for not filing, even if you didn't make any money. And this is what the problem is. And that's what, so someone called yesterday and asked me, it's been about 10 years she started this company. She's actually, now, different than most of them. Most people call and say, it was involuntarily dissolved some years ago. So in Illinois, if I start my own corporation and I do all the paperwork, I'm supposed to pay a franchise fee every year. And if I don't pay the franchise fee, they involuntarily dissolve my company, and the company's no longer active. Although if I told the IRS I had the company, the IRS doesn't know that I haven't paid the franchise fee, and so they know that it's still out there, and you haven't filed. And now again, when I mentioned that if I'm a person and I owe, that there's not going to be a fine or a penalty for that. But if I'm a corporation and I don't, the get this now. The penalty for not filing a corporate tax return is $195 a month per shareholder. So if you had 2 or 3 shareholders, you're all on the hook, and it's personal against you. So not only against the company, because otherwise it's against the company, I close the company, the penalty goes away. No, they come after you personally. Now, what happens is that the IRS really doesn't know you did it, and so the inclination is to just say, well, let's just let sleeping dogs lie. And let's not even go after it anymore. And let's not. But as an attorney, it's hard for me to give you that advice, because what happens if the longer it goes, the more you're going to owe, right?
That's
because
scary.
Now here's a good thing. It's $195 per month for a year. It does cap. So if it's been 10 years, I don't have to pay $195 per. But the next year comes in, I got to pay that year. Right, because I haven't done that year either. And then there's interest on the penalties. So this could get to be a very big number. Think about it. It can be a very big number, and people would rather just leave it alone. And again, I did the research. I tried to find a way around it. Could I just go back and dissolve the company at that time? And go back and do taxes for 1 year and just dissolve it? I don't think that'll work. And at least the IRS tells me that it won't work. So it gets complicated. There is going to be a penalty. It's kind of a disincentive to start your own company, isn't it? That if I'm going to be facing these types of barriers and fines that I didn't even know existed. Well, let me tell you something about starting your own business. There's lots to starting your own business, and that's difficult.
Isn't that the
truth? That's why people don't want to do it. Right, because it's really all about the paperwork. I
know a guy who owns a restaurant. He looks at me every day and goes, "I could just go work at Gibson's, no problem. Do my shift, go home, not have the worries."
Exactly.
But it says something about owning your own business.
Well, it does. There is something to owning your own business, and I like owning my own business. But when you're a baker and you make the best darn cakes in the world, doesn't mean you be the best baking owner. right? The baker's owner and running the business right. It's a whole different thing than now you have to have a great product and you have to do that. But running the business is different than doing the business, right? Than coming up with the product. Running the business is really about paperwork. And one of the paperwork is doing tax returns. And this is where people get in trouble. Okay, so if you have a corporation you started some years ago, you had a problem, call me.
Didn't we have a guest on here that does payroll taxes?
We did, Tom Sedeka.
Not payroll taxes, but does payroll.
He does payrolls, yes. Anyway, Tom Sedeka. Anyway, I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's right, Mr. Know-It-All. Thank you so much for answering that question. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you're behind the 8 ball, or at least you think you're behind the 8 ball, give them a call or give someone a call. But open tax resolution is our recommendation. 312-664-6649 to visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just watching this on Sunday, listening on Sunday, it's your first time. Remember, every Friday, we record Friday show or Sunday, so you can go on YouTube and look at the live feed that we do. You can go on ChicagoTaxTeam.com and get the answers out there. They're there for you. Do not have a problem anymore. Let's fix it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, listen to our sponsors. Come right back because we're going to talk a little bit about some Bears football on AM 560. The answer.